Ladies and gentlemen, your hosts, Michael Wilkes, Angel Ortiz, Dr. Chad, and Sam La Cavera. Go check out beardedbrowns.com and be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Enjoy the show.
What is up, everybody? I am back. Man, I've been waiting to come on this mic and talk about the Cleveland Browns. I've been gone what feels like a month, but here I am. Missed 2 shows, but I'm back. And I brought a guest with me. I went to Disney in Florida, and I came back with a guest who is in Florida. See how that works out? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for my new friend, Wally Williams Jr. He is our guest tonight. He went undrafted in 1993 from the HBCU, Florida A&M. He had a 10-year run in the NFL. He played with the Browns, the Baltimore, that ugly team, purple. Baltimore Ravens. I had to say it, man. And he played for the Saints. He was actually involved with the move. We're going to talk a little bit about that, the transition from Cleveland to Baltimore. And he got to experience a moment of where the Baltimore and him franchise tagged you. He was the first ever Baltimore Raven to be franchise tagged.
Maybe that's a Family Feud question that comes up or something like that.
I try to see as much information I can, and I saw that. I was like, I guess I got to throw that in there somehow. How you doing, Willie? How are you feeling, sir?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Everything is good down here in Florida. On the cusp of pension, but enjoying my space here. At this point where I am in my career in life, and trying to mentor a lot of young men as much as I can about what's out here for them, what's available for them, and some of the pitfalls that they may have along the way.
Nice. What type of mentorship are you doing?
Well, mentorship has always been a part of my family. So I grew up in an educational foundation. My mother's a school teacher. My dad's a general contractor, so we've always kind of either had employees or, working in the classroom and working with kids. Even, some of my friends, it's weird having your mom teach you and take geometry and algebra 2 from your mom, and you grade your friends' papers. So, I grew up doing things like that, and it's just always been a part of me. And, being around the school, showing kids here in my community that you can, become a professional in many different spaces of life, and not just football. I think that's the one thing that I was very focused on as a young man, to be a pro athlete. Well, there are a lot of other things you can put your injuries into instead of pro football. So, I try to let the kids know that this is great, this is a good foundation, but, open up your mind to different things out there, because journalists make a lot of money too. Yeah. So, you got to let them know those things and try to educate them as much as possible.
Wally is here for Represent Toys for Tots, which is going to be down at the Hall of Fame lanes with the Tuscarawas Browns backers. They're going to do a big bowling event, bowling with the pros. There's going to be 15 to 16 pros there at Hall of Fame lanes at 5155 Tuscarawas Street in West Canton, Ohio. Now, the entry fee just to get into this place is $20. If you want to bowl, it's $50. Now, if you want signatures, and I'm going to go through the list of names later of who's going to be there. If you want all the signatures, one of them is Bernie. Felix Wright's going to be there. It's $200. So if you want to bowl and get signatures, it's going to be a total of $250. But if you just want to get in and get signature, if you want to get in just to walk around, that's $20. But my advice to you is pay the $200, get everyone's signature, and just hang out with the pros that are going to be there and meet some new friends. But here's the deal. All the proceeds will be going to Toys for Tots.
Yes.
So it's not going to any individual, any player, any athlete, or even the Tuscarawas Browns backers. It's going straight to the Toys for Tots. So when you're giving to this event, you're giving to a family in need around Christmas time when they're low on funds and they have nothing to give. And Toys for Tots comes in with the rescue, and you can be a part of that to change someone's Christmas day. I remember as a Christmas having Christmas in my house, I had a lot of kids. I'm half Hispanic, so my dad had a lot of kids. Okay,
There you go.
so
Big family.
yeah, big family. So it was very little on my tree. We all had to share gifts, right? So for me to hear that the Toys for Tots coming in and the Tuscarawas Brown backers are partnering with them, it means even something to me because I was one of those kids that didn't get a lot. So
Yes.
in order to have something under that tree, it's a good feeling to have, especially from a parent's perspective. Can you imagine how a parent feels if they can't give their kid a gift? You can help that parent make a kid's day by coming to this event. So yeah, well, I actually sold that pretty well. Hopefully, you guys heard that.
I mean, you sold it well. And I don't know what to follow up to say without, I don't want to mess
I was
up.
like, Angel's like, great, you're depressing me. Now stop, move on, move on. No, I just want to tell you that the gravity of this event is not just getting signatures, which is cool if you're into that, but you're also helping people. And I've never been a part of a thing. And usually it's like, yeah, we're going to charge this and it's going to go to the athlete and it's going to go to the venue. But this is not doing that. I just wanted to make sure people knew that off the bat. Well, Wally, a couple of questions for you since we have you here.
Mhm.
You came in the league in 1993.
Mhm.
And you played the offensive line, and what made you valuable throughout your career? I even talked to you on the phone a little bit about this.
Mhm.
Is your versatility? You played, I believe, was it left tackle,
Guard
left guard, right guard,
and center.
and center. So you see the parallel, Browns fans. This guy experienced the versatility on the line, and it seems like Andrew Berry's focus this year was that of versatility. Can you speak as a player how players like Jenkins, who's coming in with center and a right tackle opportunity, can you speak on how valuable that is for a team?
Well, when I'm gonna just speak on my situation and kind
Yeah.
of spread out from there. So when I came out of college and came to the Browns, you got to understand who was the head coach at that particular time, and that was Bill Belichick. And my offensive line coach was Kirk Ferentz, who's the head coach at Iowa. He's been there for 30, almost 40 years. So when they came in and evaluated me and all those things like that, the evaluation was this. We drafted a center by the name of Steve Everett in the first round.
Mm.
So, kid, we like you. Okay. We like you as a center. Great. So you can play that. All right. Show us what else you can do. Because you're not going to be all star in the center here. You got to find someone else to play on this field. They gave me the offensive playbook, the defensive playbook, and special teams playbook. And, I found somewhere to play. So in my situation, being an undrafted free agent, to diversify my portfolio was an asset to what I was trying to do and how I was trying to build my career. So I played guard and went back and forth in games and for the first probably 3-4 years of my career and just basically made myself invaluable because what you're getting now is 3 or 4 different players within one. And I was an undrafted guy, so I'm very cheap. So, and that's what it really was the first 3-4 years of my career, being a Swiss Army knife. And I would play games where I would start the game at center, in the second quarter play left guard, the third quarter go back to center, and then in the fourth quarter play right guard. I've done that before in games. And I guess I did pretty good at all three because it enabled me to make rosters and make a 10-year career of just something I thought I can do, was challenged to do by Bill Belichick when I got to Cleveland.
You brought up the fact that you're an undrafted free agent. What was the mind shift going into it, coming into the league, knowing that you got to compete against people, like you said, who was drafted in the first round, third round, where you're like, hey, I got to outwork them, outcompete them. What is that mind shift going into it day? Because it was different then. Because you guys had what, like 4 days where you just practice four times a day. It seemed like, or
So
2
it
days.
felt like that. Felt like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look. I'm going to be quite honest with you guys because see, a lot of things about the HBCU mindset and all those things. Okay, it all depends on the player. It all depends on the player. When I came out of high school, I was the #1 rated center in this region. Okay, and Florida, Georgia, and this entire region. And I was initially committed to Florida State when I came out of high school. And, I ended up at FAMU, which is a blessing, but I was highly recruited coming out of high school. So when I became a pro, I was ready for those guys from Division I football. Okay. I had seen them before, played against half of those guys. I mean, I am from the state of Florida. So a lot of those guys I saw in high school, the Warren Sapps of the world and the Kevin Carters, and some of those guys are from Tallahassee. So it wasn't a nerve-wracking experience to me. What was nerve-wracking is the pros. I mean, the veterans that were there, the Jerry Balls of the world, the Michael Dean Perrys, I mean, the Pepper Johnsons, all these guys that were there who I've seen, on Pro Bowl level. Those were the guys that bothered me. And then going to training camp, my first training camp was against the Chicago Bears, and Refrigerator Perry and Richard Dent and all those guys were still there. And I'm like, McMichael, and I'm like, well, gracious. So those guys bothered me. It was never the competition between, other college guys, especially in my class. I thought I was better than half of those guys anyway.
And that's a mindset you gotta have, right? Coming into the league, coming undrafted. And Andrew Berry's a king of undrafted free agents. It seems like he seems to find diamonds and roughs all the time, and those undrafted free agents seems to make the roster, and they seem to develop them well here, at least for the last couple of years. Next question I have for you is like you talked about Bill Belichick. You played underneath him, and then the change from Cleveland to Baltimore when the team moved, they did away with Bill Belichick and hired Marcher Broda.
Yeah.
The Browns are your career is parallel with the Browns right now. That's why I love this interview. Just like the Browns, who had Kevin Stefanski for 5 years, and now this organization, this team, is coming in with their new head coach, Todd Monken. What was the mind shift as a player to where you were used to? I'm sure Bill Belichick's hard ways. He's from everything I've read, he was very difficult as a coach and expected perfection. To Bill Belichick to Ted, what was the difference and what was the mind shift?
Well, funny thing about that, okay? So now we can go back to HBCU football and all those things because as far as being hard, okay, I was accustomed to that. Okay. And, as far as being, focused on what we have to do and just the general concept of having, the coach and the player representing or the boss and, again, my dad was a general contractor, and I was accustomed to getting cursed out too, so it wasn't a big deal. So when I got to Cleveland and played against all those things, here's the funny thing about Cleveland. I thought it was cold when I got to training camp coming from Florida, so it didn't bother me. Bill is a guy who will test you, I felt, mentally. He could be mentally exhausting, not physically exhausting if you're in shape, but mentally if you're not paying attention and you're not engaged. Okay, so that's Bill, and that's why he's tough. I thought it was the mental part. All right, when I got to Baltimore and Ted Marshall Broder came in there, well, Marshall Broder is an older gentleman. Okay, and he didn't give a damn about mental composition. He was just trying to beat our ass. Okay, and that was the roughest training camp that I ever been through. 96 training camp, okay, when we moved, because it was such a traumatic situation with us leaving from Cleveland. And you got to understand, there was a roster overhaul where guys like Andre Rison were cut, Pepper Johnson, all the big time money guys were pretty much released. And look, if you didn't want to be there, okay, he was going to run you off. And I never like administrative changes. Okay, you never like them when you have a new coach and they're implementing their thing, because that is going to be the toughest camp there. They want to weed out all the non-believers, and I'm gonna tell you, Ted Marshall Broder tried to weed us out.
Next question, I have someone in the chat. KP Young says, Wiley, who was your toughest player to go up against, and who was your toughest, obviously you just answered that, toughest coach to play for?
Toughest player, I guess, a guy that gave me some consistent problem. We didn't play that much, but play against each other that much, but it was just I just didn't like blocking him. There's a guy named Dan Salamua. Dan Salamua was with what I called him against not the Chargers, but the Kansas City Chiefs and the Seattle Seahawks. He played in both of those teams. And he's just this, big, wide, thick, icebox Samoan guy. And you can't do anything with him. He doesn't have any neck. He doesn't have, just a big body. And once he goes forward, it was a problem. And there's a couple other guys like that, but he was the worst of the bunch. I can throw out guys like, Jumpy Gathers, who was 6'7", and would throw this, uppercut and this forklift thing and try to lift you off the ground. And I'm drawing a blank, but Luther Ellis. Luther Ellis was a big, strong defensive lineman from the Detroit Lions. And he didn't do a damn thing but bull rush you all day. Okay. And that sucked. Right. He's not taking a read step. He's not trying to fake you out. He's just battering.
And wears you out throughout the game.
It is, it's rough. It's rough. So I actually like going against other guys, the guys that people hear about, the Warren Sapps, the John Randles of the world, all those guys, Hall of Fame guys. I like going against those guys because you prepare, what's coming a little bit. With some of these other guys who are not as on that high tier, well, those are the guys that can be battering rams and hurt you. So you have to watch out. It's not always the Pro Bowl caliber guys, but some other guys there that can bang you up pretty good.
Speaking of Pro Bowl caliber guys, Myles Garrett obviously recently traded. Would it be tough to block Myles Garrett? What would be your secret sauce to try to prevent him to get to the quarterback?
Well, I break his kneecap. That's what I would do.
Yeah, you probably would have been able to back in the day too.
Correct, and that's how we played. I mean, we wouldn't have any problems with those kind of guys. I mean, that's why right now they're 270 playing defensive end. I mean, we didn't even have that. Our marquee defensive end and our kind of stand-up player was Reggie White, and Reggie White was 6'6", 315. So, different kind of player, different rules. Things are different now. With some of the blocking rules and what you can and cannot do. So look, at the end of the day, what you have to do is put bodies on them. Okay. I don't care how big and how strong they are. If you butcher somebody for a long time, they will slow down. So that's the main thing. You can't think that one guy's going to do it. No, that's not going to happen, really, because of some of the rule changes. Okay. You just can't do it anymore. So what you have to do is put two guys over there. I don't give a damn if it's a running back, tight end, a receiver, chip block, all those things to slow him down every time. Every play, though, it has to be every play. To slow him down.
One more question in the chat from Ian Coleman. He said, how did the draft process go coming from Florida A&M? He actually put those words you told me not to say. So you see, I listened to you. And what was the biggest college game that you've ever played in?
We played against Miami.
Oh, okay.
Miami when Gino Toretta won the Heisman and all those guys were there. Played against The Rock and Warren Sapp and those guys. Ray Lewis was not there yet. But I played against those guys in college. Darren Smith, Michael Barrow, who's the other linebacker there? Played for the Giants, Jesse Armstead. That was the team. And I think they went to the national championship that year and lost to Alabama that season. But we played against those guys. And that is the film that projected me. I mean, when the scouts came down, that's all they wanted to watch. is when we
Oh,
played
wow.
my senior year. So evidently I did a pretty good job against those guys.
Yeah, obviously. Obviously. So the draft process might have been a little bit different because the undrafted, it seemed like the undrafted free agents kind of know right away who they go to, who are interested in them
Mhm.
recently nowadays. How was it then for the undrafted free agents? Did you have to
Uh,
wait, or was there a waiting period, or did you get a call right away?
no, I didn't get a call right away. You know, my head coach in college was a guy named Ken Riley, who was a 16-year vet, and he, you know, was a Hall of Fame, the Cincinnati Bengals. So we had scouts that would come by, talk every now and then. Um, you know, but at the same time, I did not get a lot of traffic, you know, really that I thought I would get. Maybe I did not have my best season altogether, but it wasn't a lot. Wasn't a lot. I got to work out with the Saints, and I thought they would draft me. They never called me. Um, and I tell you about. I remember this vividly, and right before the draft, I had almost checked out. Okay,
Mm.
I was. I didn't think, you know, anything was going to fly. But again, this time of year is spring football. So they were doing spring football and looking at another one of my teammates, a guy named Terry Mickens, who ended up playing for the Green Bay Packers and the Oakland Raiders. He was a receiver here. And there was some scouts there from the Browns, a guy named Tom Dimitroff, and another scout from the Kansas City Chiefs that was there. That was there. And I asked them for a workout. Here's what I exactly said to them. Guys, my mother is pissed at me because I just dropped out of school to try out for this football team. Okay. So listen, could you put me through a workout? Just tell me if I'm able to play, if I suck or not, you know, and we'll go from there. So let's say that conversation was on Monday. I worked out for them on Monday. By Wednesday, I got a call from Kirk Ferentz, okay, who was the O-line coach at that time. He just got signed as O-line coach. By Friday, I had a workout with Kirk Ferentz. He came to Tallahassee and worked me out. And by Sunday, I'm sitting in front of Bill Belichick and Kirk
Mm.
Ferentz, and they'll put me through this thing. And that's how it started, okay? No combine, no Senior Bowl, no anything. Just me asking these guys, could they give me a workout and just tell me what they think. They did the workout, didn't say anything to me, and walked off the field. The next call I got was from Kirk Ferentz.
Nice. That is crazy because it's now. I mean, obviously, NFL is a bank of money, so they do
Mhm,
everything is broadcast from the combine to Senior Bowl, all that stuff.
mhm.
Um, it's a money generator. So it's weird to see. It's cool to see how it's grown to what it is more of an entertainment aspect outside of just the football games on Sundays and Mondays. Um, one last question for you, then we'll let you go. We got to have you back on a little longer next time.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
I knew when I had that phone call with you, I was like, I wish it was a different week. I was like, I need to have this guy on for a whole hour and a half because I knew just talking with you, I would not want to let you go. But I do know that I will also get kicked out the show if I don't listen to my fellow friends. Last question is in Cleveland, you block for Leroy Ford and
Yes,
Ernest
sir.
Biner. We had Ernest
Yes,
Biner on
sir.
the show like a month or so ago. Great guy. Love the dude. One of my favorite running backs. The Browns backs this year obviously are Junkins and Dylan Sampson. As an offensive lineman, how much does the running style of your backs dictate how you approach your blocks? And what kind of runner did you personally love blocking for?
Oh, see what you do to me? See what you do to me?
Yeah, yeah,
So
pick a guy.
so here, I'm gonna tell you how it really goes, okay? Because you know, playing for the Ravens, I was kind of with the same guys for the first 6 years of my career. Okay, the same coach, even though it's two different cities. But you have guys like Tony Jones, Orlando Brown, Steve Everett. You know, all of us went to Baltimore together, and me and Orlando were together the whole time. So our mindset never really got an opportunity to change. Okay. Leroy Horde, he came to Baltimore with us. The mindset is not about the running back behind us. Okay. Ernest Biner was with us there. It was never about the running back behind us. It's about the jerks in front of us and about how us five, as we say, impose our will on those guys. Because if we do our job up front and beat these guys up, whoever's back there running behind us is going to be smiling all day. Okay. And that was kind of our mentality. Now, from a personal standpoint, I have to say blocking for Ernest Biner is the all-time best. I mean, I blocked for Ricky Williams and Deuce McAllister and Eric Metcalf and all those things, and Bam Morris and a lot of different guys. But, the honor for me to block for Ernest Biner, because I was a fan of his before I got to Cleveland. He was one of the guys that I knew. Of course, Bernie Kosar, coming out of the University of Miami, he played with my cousin Melvin Bratton down there during those years. So I was a fan of him and Testaverde and all those guys. I knew their lineage. I knew where they came from. So to have those guys in the huddle and to be able to say that we were teammates, I took a lot of pride in being with those guys and learning as much as I could from them.
Nice. I had a fan question. I know I said one more, but this fan question is
Come on, shoot him.
Where is he? Where'd it go? KP Young with another one. He said, Wally, who was your this is gonna be hard. Who was your favorite teammate, and who was your wildest teammate to play with?
Well, my favorite teammate was Orlando Brown. Me and Orlando played against each other in college. He was at South Carolina State. We met at the all-conference banquet, and then we saw each other again when we got to Cleveland together. And, that was when we looked, we was like, hey, man, well, me and you roommates. And that was my training camp roommate, all those things like that for all 6 years that we were together. So, Orlando Brown, I had to start at the top of it, but, every old lineman that I played with, those were my guys, whether it was Willie Rofe and Kyle Turley and Naoli down here in New Orleans and all those guys I played with, I still am in contact with all of them. Steve Everett, Herman RV, the same crew of guys I came into Cleveland with. So it's awesome to kind of maintain that camaraderie with the guys, and because some guys have passed away as well. So we try to stay as close as we possibly can. And what was the second half of that question?
Who is the wildest teammate you ever played with?
The wildest teammate. Wow. The wildest teammate. I can throw
a lot of people under this.
I can do that. But there was only kind of one team that I was like, man, this dude is really crazy. I don't know why somebody gave him a helmet. But I thought Percy Snow was nuts. I don't know if you remember that name. He didn't stay with the Browns that long.
I do remember it. Yes.
Yes, I thought he was. He was one of the first guys that I saw where I felt like he was still playing linebacker when he came off the field. Okay, and well, you know what? As a character, though, I guess that was nuts. Probably the character that was brief as well was Jim McMahon. I got to throw his name in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a character. I remember watching him. Well, I mean, I didn't know him personally, but I remember how.
Okay, so here's another one. You know Jim McMahon, the Bears, all those things. I'm a fan too. All those things. So he comes to the Browns. He's only there a month. Okay, I don't know if it was that. I forget how long it really was, but I know he came in, and because I'm center and we quarterbacks work together all the time, so we sitting there talking, and he was like, he was in his 15th year or something that's like that, 14th or 15th year, and he said to me, he was like, man, he said, you guys work hard as hell here, man. It's hard. Y'all work hard here. He said, if I known that, I would never sign.
You want to just come for the paycheck and chill.
Yeah, man, I'm just coming from the last part,
Yeah.
He said, man, you guys ran a gastric test that almost killed me, man. You guys work too hard, man. If I known that, I would never sign here. There you go. So.
All right, man, we'll let you go now. Thanks for coming on. Honestly, I'll try to hook you back. I got your number. Once we have you come back, maybe come back on and for a little longer, share more stories. And if you happen to come down this weekend, you'll see me down there. If not, we'll definitely have you back on. But if you do, hit me up. I'm driving a Tesla down there.
Awesome.
And I'm going to ride with you.
Actually,
it's going to ride us together.
Hey, I'm gonna need a ride. I'm gonna need a ride. So come get me. I got you.
All right, I'll drive you. I appreciate you, man. I'll be in contact.
All right, fellas. Appreciate you.
Right.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
That's fun.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah.
fun to have the old players on.
Yeah, when I was on the phone with him, man, I just like his energy. I don't know if we can get
Yeah.
him off in 30 minutes. I just knew, honestly, I was like, oh man, I want this guy to be on for the whole show. But it's football, man. We're getting a little closer to some football, like actual football talk, right? So
Yeah.
I figured that was a little more important than uh other things happening. But before I continue on, I do want to say that Rich sent me a list of stuff that's going to be auctioned off real quick. I want to throw these out. A Casey Concepcion autograph Browns jersey, Ozzie Newsome autograph jersey, Carl Big Daddy Harrison autograph jersey, Denzel Ward autograph jersey, Josh Cribb, Josh Gordon, Joe Thomas autograph jersey, Chevy Chase. Anyone likes him? You're gonna have a autograph jersey for him. uh, Dennis Rodman autograph ball, Marshall Falk autograph ball. He's got a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Jared Verse, the new Brown.
Already?
He's got an autograph ball. All this stuff is going to be auctioned off at this event. Ray Lewis autograph ball, a seat. Chad, would you like a seat of the from the Cleveland Municipal Stadium?
Oh, that's cool.
That would be sweet, right? That's
cool.
going to be
Yeah.
auctioned off, and a 4 by 8 foot Cleveland Browns mural will be auctioned off. And there's a silent auction. He gave this. This is information solely that the Builder Browns knew, and we're going to announce it right now. A silent auction for 2 of these items. I was there for one of this. A full size helmet signed by Eddie George, and the second one is a full size helmet signed by Josh Cribbs with 6 inscriptions. I was there for that. I was there this past weekend. I got to meet Josh Cribbs. I got to shake his hand.
Nice.
Got to take a picture with him. I actually got to stand next to him for about 40 minutes. It was a really cool experience. Last thing, raffle tickets are 1 for $2 or 50 for $50. So you can increase your chance of getting any of this. And again, don't forget, all proceeds will go towards Toys for Tots for families in need. All the people that will be there, I'll run it down real quick. Bernie Kosar, Hanford Dixon, Bob Golick, Felix Wright, Tom Darden, Greg Pruitt, Mike Pruitt, Travis Tucker, Anthony Griggs, Reggie Langhorn, Ben Davis, Joe Chaperone. He's a Indians player. Campy Russell, Elmore Smith, and James Black. That's a lot of people. You can get Bernie's autograph. You can get Hanford, Bob Golick, Felix Wright. You can get any of them for $200. You get all of them for $200. So go there and support the Toys for Tots. Man, that was a lot.
Big event. Big
event, man. It's a big event. I went down
cool stuff,
to I went down to the Browns Backer Bar Shenanigans in Dover, Ohio, and it was a blast, man. It was. I was like, I need to go to more Browns Backer bars, man. It was really cool, good food, good people. Got a couple of autographs myself for Josh Cribbs, a couple of pictures, and I got a couple some content that will be dropping soon. So stay tuned for that. On to more important things, though. The Browns. First, we're going to talk about Baker Mayfield and the Bucks are not close on a deal. We were talking about this a little bit before we got on. Are you surprised by that?
I kind of am. I guess I shouldn't be, given where he ranks as far as a player overall, but I sort of did think that he was going to be a lock to just finish things out, given some of the success he's had, given what it's like for some of these teams when they don't have their quarterback in place. And you know, it's just rare for a quarterback who's been like your franchise quarterback, your like consistent quarterback, to ever come down to 1-year deal. There's still time to get it done. I guess it's more like the reporting makes it sound like it's not gonna get done, you know?
Yeah.
So it's they're still they could pull this off in a week. They could pull this off in another 2 months. But I was surprised. It sounded like it was so far apart. I kind of look at Baker Mayfield all the time as like when he signed that deal, which this sounds crazy because he's like, I guess he's probably been underpaid in some ways given what he got paid there, but it was basically like,
Was it 30?
it's like 30 around like 33
30s,
million or something like
yeah.
that.
I saw that
It was
today.
funny because they did a quarterback, I think the NFL Network does the quarterback, what's it called? They have their quarterback ranking system index, the quarterback index, and Baker Mayfield, by salary, was like the 16th highest paid quarterback in the league or something like that,
Yeah.
and he actually fell on their quarterback index as, like, their 17th quarterback in the league, so they're like it's been a really funny thing because he was so low at the time they signed him to that 3-year extension or that 3-year deal that, like, it was looked at as like, "Oh my gosh, what a steal. You got this guy for low." And then you look at it and it's like, or did they actually get him for the exact amount he should get, which is, like, right in the middle of
Where
the
he is.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And so it brought me to wonder whether, like, it could lead to there finally being a quarterback middle class because it always seems like every next quarterback is the highest paid. Doesn't matter, you're not getting paid by, like, how good you are or what tier you are, like a lot of other positions, you're getting paid by, are you a franchise quarterback and are you up next? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're, you know, Tom Brady level or Baker Mayfield level, you're just going to get paid the most if you're the next franchise quarterback, quote unquote, to get paid. And so I thought that would be interesting. And now that they're so far apart, it feels like it will either lead to him getting like a big deal or him doing another 1-year prove it deal low to get back up into the, the high range again. So I don't know. It's just such a crazy thing that they can't seem to like find a way to pay these quarterbacks what their actual value is.
Value is, yeah. You with Baker's tricky because he'll give you like a good year, year and a half, 2 years, and it's always that 3rd year. It's like,
Yeah.
your
Even
true
more
self is
so.
going out. Yeah.
Sometimes it's within the same year. Like last year, he
Yeah.
looked brilliant to start the year, and Browns fans were rattled. They're like, "Here we go, another incredible year of Baker." And then by like mid-November, is like, "Oh, this cooled off real quick," and he had a really rough like last third of the season, which is not what they needed right before like you want to come out strong. If he had finished the year like he had started the year last year, they might not even be talking contract because they probably just would have re-signed him in the offseason. But it's just such a crazy thing, like the way that worked where they're like, "Oh, or maybe he's not our guy," you know? So I just think it's interesting because, like, a couple years later from us being like, "Well, he would have been our long-term guy," the team that
I
he's
don't
had the
know.
most success with is like, we want better," which is
Yeah.
exactly how the Browns ended up where they're at. They wanted that he was pretty good, but they wanted better, and so they moved on, and it didn't work out. Maybe it will for the Bucks, but
KP Young in the chat said, Pittsburgh, Mike Folio is saying that, Pittsburgh might be interested in him next year. That would be
which he would
interesting, right?
love,
Yeah,
that,
yeah. He
right?
would come in and play us twice a year, and
That'd be
he'll
such a Baker
probably
Mayfield,
win.
like
Yeah, because he has that chip on his shoulder.
mhm.
Whatever. That's the thing that hurts Baker's emotions,
That's
right?
actually the
Like,
thing that bothers me.
yeah,
Everybody's like, "Oh, yeah, he just gets has a chip on his shoulder," and, like, as soon as you start doubting him, he just shows you, and it's like,
yeah,
I need a quarterback that can just always
consistent.
show me,
Yeah,
who can find his own motivation. He doesn't need to play bad for 4 games, and he doesn't need, like, the news cycle to be like, "Oh, he's not the guy," to get him back on track.
yeah,
Like, he needs to find a way to keep himself playing at his best constantly, and he just has not been able to do it.
yeah. I wonder how much he thinks he's worth because the last I looked, he was barely at 500 as far as winning percentage.
He just wants what I think he wants to fall right into that, "Who signed last? I
I want
want
50,
about what that guy
60
got. I'm
mil.
that guy." Yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be around he wants probably around 50, and he's worth probably around 30 because that gives you 20,000,000 to spend on, like, another superstar or 2 starting linemen and the players don't see it that way, but the GMs are like, "We spent 20,000,000 extra on this guy, that's a incredible receiver we could that's a great free agent receiver that we could bring in and plug in this spot." And, like,
yeah,
that's what they want is Baker plus this, and these players are like, "No, I want it all."
yeah. James Frank said, unfortunately, I believe his problems is staying healthy. He's consistently gets
A
banged
little
up.
banged up.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
gets
he's
banged
not,
up
like,
a lot.
out, but he gets
It's always like a
beat up a
nagging
little.
injury that
Mhm.
impacts his performance.
Yeah.
That's speaking of quarterbacks, JJ McCarthy, it will be likely available.
Speaking of nagging injuries,
Speaking
keeping you
of
off the
nagging
field.
injuries, Like, can you like? It's crazy. They could have had Sam Darnold, man. He was in the building.
They
He
were
was there.
he was begging for it. He's like, "I just
Yeah.
took you guys to 14 wins," and like, "But we drafted somebody, so we have to go that direction." Even though he sat the whole year injured, and they stuck with him, and it was like, you had the guy right in front of you that could win you those games, and he went off and won a Super Bowl somewhere else. Dude, Sam
And
Darnold has been a guy that I've loved since he was drafted. The Jets completely screwed him up.
messing him up. Yep. What I mean, we probably would have messed him up too. I was just say, what if we
Maybe.
would have got him instead of Baker? No, the same thing would have happened because we're the Browns. Hey, shout out to JD, MJD said that was a great interview. Appreciate the love. Uh, KP just said he saw a report that he wants 65 a year. Baker,
I
that's
saw a
crazy.
report that he wants 90 plus, so I've just been ignoring those 'cause I'm
It's
like, I've
probably
seen him
ignoring
all
it.
over the place. I saw
Let's
like
hang him
NFL
up.
drops, like he wants 90,000,000. I'm like, nobody wants
Yeah, nobody
90,000,000.
wants to
Like,
name
what are
it.
you talking about?
He's
But yeah,
not.
I've seen like 3 different prices, so I was like, I just am not trusting these until I hear it from like, Rap Sheet or something.
Yeah. Speaking of hanging it up, uh, Joe Batonio decides to retire out of the blue. I mean, I guess the Browns knew it for a while. If you read his letter, you can tell that he told the Browns, I think during free agency actually, which makes sense why they made the moves they did right away. Um, but they were just sitting on it waiting for him to announce it, which is again, shout out to the
Odd time.
organization, shout out to the organization for actually respecting the players' wishes. But yeah, he's retired, man. He's gone off into the sunset. 12 years as a Brown, retired as a Brown. He doesn't want to go
Impressive
anywhere.
career. Super
Yeah.
impressive career.
Yeah. It's kind of like coming to an end, right? Once Denzel Ward is gone, you're kind of the old Browns that were kind of
And
competitive, kind of gave us hope. Is just
yeah, it's
fading
like
away, man.
those were building blocks from a different era. And
Yeah.
Batonio is from a very different era, like, he's back from the Joe Thomas day, like, he 12 years is a long time to play for a team, and he barely missed games, like, he was just incredible,
Yeah.
and so it's tough to see him move on, but I think we all talked at the show, like, once he didn't report he was coming back like, after the draft, I think we were all, like, set on, like, this is just not gonna happen.
MJD on YouTube said he likes your grandma chair. Um,
Thank you.
he likes it. It's comfy, man. You gotta be comfortable sitting for about an hour or so.
Yeah.
Um, and speaking of Denzel Ward, he's reportedly not going anywhere. That was I we talked about it a little bit. I was in Florida. I was at Disney, heading my way to Epcot once Miles got traded, and I said to myself, Denzel has to be next because I would have thought like not that the Browns wanted to. I thought he would be like, "Listen, I at least want to go for a ring somewhere."
Everybody I've
Yeah,
played with my whole career is gone, so
yeah. So
I
I
can see it.
thought, yeah, I thought that he was gone too. But he came out this past weekend saying, "No, man, I'm staying Cleveland till I die. Ohio against the world." So shout out to him for staying. Um, it's going to be interesting because I think he's on his last year, right?
Either this year or next year, I'd have to look,
Yeah.
but and he's 29, I think he's a year younger than Miles, and he got drafted the next year, but he's been more banged up, so he's not nearly as valuable. I just think, like, when I look at him, I see more of a guy where if you drop him now, you're gonna be scrambling at cornerback, and it's
Yeah.
gonna be tougher. It's going to make everyone else's on the defense's development tougher if you don't have good cornerback play, and I just don't see preseason with his injury history, with how he's dropped down a little bit. He's still a great cornerback. He's still a starting cornerback, but he used to be like a top 5 cornerback, and he's just not there anymore, and I just don't see a team giving you enough that you could even replace him with a young cornerback, like a starting cornerback. Like, he just feels to me like unless it's trade deadline and a team that is like, we are trying to make a Super Bowl run and we just lost our top corner and we're in trouble. I just
Yeah.
don't know that anybody's given you anything for him, which is why I wasn't sure he was gone. The other difference is he has held steadfast through all these changes. Like, I want to stay at Brown. Where Miles is different is he's made it very clear for a
He
while
made
now,
it. He did
I
a whole
don't wanna
tour.
be a Brown. Yeah,
Yeah.
he made it as clear as any player I've ever seen in my career, or I don't wanna be a Brown, and so it's just different. I'm sure Denzel would love to chase a ring too, but he just has a different mentality. He was an Ohio State guy. He's just there's more of him here than there ever was for Miles.
Yeah, I agree with that. One thing that I thought of too is if this season doesn't go as accordingly to what the organization hopes for, I wonder if he's signed through 2028. He signed in 2022, so
So
set to
there's some
expire
time.
in 2028. I wonder if I'm willing to give him an out. So if he changes his mind, if the Browns are out of it and he sees a way to go somewhere where he can win a ring, because do you think
Yeah.
he's a ring away from actually being or do you think he's a Hall of Famer?
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I think he's
yeah,
a
that's what
great
I'm saying.
cornerback, but I think as a cornerback, you have to be
Elite,
somebody
elite.
that everyone is always talking about, and between the injuries and then the decline in play, I just don't see it. So, I think it's more of like that would be for me, an out would be more like, "Okay, you're in the last year of your deal, you're under a good price. Now
Yeah,
we can move you to a team that's ring chasing," but kinda like what they did with more like what they did with Joe Thomas, whereas Joe Thomas was like, "Okay, you're already settled in the Hall of Fame. You've made the all-pro game, like, over and over and over, and you're an every-year Pro Bowler." That was more of a, like, "Do you wanna end your career somewhere else?" And he didn't. Um, I don't know if he would regret that at times, or the Browns would regret that at times, but I see Denzel more like that, more like Bitonio, more like, um, Joe Thomas, where he just kind of would rather have his legacy cemented here than like, that may be as important to him as a Super Bowl ring. And you
yeah.
don't switch teams, it's not automatic. Like, Miles moved into maybe the highest potential place to get a ring
Mhm.
based on a lot of factors, but that's a pretty rare situation. You know, you go to be like, "I'm gonna chase a ring, I'm gonna go to Buffalo," but then there's a good chance you're still not gonna get it. The best Super Bowl odds teams still only have, like, 10% odds. It's not like a very
Yeah.
high probability, you know? So,
Um, yeah, I'm glad he's staying. He's gonna be I just like the faithfulness. You know what I mean? Like when he said
yeah.
that, I got kind of to my little fan mode because I just met Josh Cribbs, one of the best punt
Yeah,
returners. You got to talk with him, and then
we
on my
miss
way
out on that.
home, yeah, my way home, I hear Denzel's staying. He's committed. I'm like, I'm a fan again. This is great. I was on a high. You know what I mean? So, you hear that stuff as somebody who's like doing a podcast and one of my flaws, even I tell my wife, like I get too analytical and too numbers based that sometimes the emotions is out of it. Um, it was cool to see that because the emotion came back. Like, see,
Yeah.
I can buy a war jersey now because he's going to probably end his career here. So that gives me some safety net there.
Yeah, for me, the emotion thing always happens, like, on the spot, like, during a game or whatever, and then as soon as I'm removed from it, it's like, that's off, and I'm back to, like, analytical mode, but I think there is something that I appreciate about those guys, and I think it's something we're missing out on. The emotion for Myles Garrett, like, the trade made all the sense in the world. The amount they got back, the timing to do it. Some people think it should have been last year. I don't know that they were getting more last year like people think. It's just a very, like, a weird sentiment because people are not understanding the value, I think, in some cases. But I also think something that Browns fans miss out on is that player who stays his whole career because a lot of times the Browns either dump guys because they need to
Yeah.
move to the next rebuild or which I think is what Miles is part of, or guys just want the heck out of here, which I also think that's part of. And that happens to other teams. It's not just the Browns. Like the Bengals have had a big history of that, where like guys are like, okay, I've played enough for this franchise. They frustrate me. I'm out. And I think there are just certain teams, and the Browns are a big one of them, where you don't get those lifelong players that other guys get, where they play their whole career for you. It's just like it's the tribe is more like that than anybody. But like even the Browns and like the build of football is set up for a guy to stay there. Baseball's not. You got to buy this guy that's a huge value and you are unsalary capped, you're always going to have to move that to recoup players over the player. But the NFL is designed for you to have your players through their career. And the Browns don't, and a big reason they don't is those 2 things. Either they need to move on from their GM and coach, and so they just clean house, or they have players who are frustrated with rarely ever winning and they want out. And so guys like Joel Bitonio and Joe Thomas become really special because they're your guys and we don't get a lot of them. If a guy's really good, a lot of times he ends up eventually playing somewhere else.
Yeah, like Joe Hayden, right? They cut him
Yeah.
to get younger, and he ended up playing about another 2, 3 years in Pittsburgh. Speaking of
Mhm.
guys that get out, Wyatt Teller made some comments on a local radio show in Houston. That kind of like when I read it, I'm like, "Man, come on, man!" Like
Did you see the clip by chance?
I didn't see the
It's
clip. I
not
read
better.
it.
It's not
I
better.
yeah,
I thought, like, maybe I'm reading this and, like, the context is off, and then I watched the clip, and he's like, "I have no ill will against the Browns, great, he shouldn't, he had a pretty good career here." But when he phrases things like, none of us were playing up to our standard
yeah,
anymore, and, like, when you have the writing on the wall, it's hard to stay motivated, and, like, I'm re-energized and I'm, like, rededicating myself to building my strength back up, and you're like, so just all, like, indirect admissions of, like, as a line as a whole, like, we weren't training as hard as we were supposed to, we weren't playing as hard as we knew we had to, and we weren't, like, as dedicated to the cause as we knew we needed to be, and it just to me highlights, like, how easy it is for guys who are repeatedly on a losing team, and they had some good years, so it wasn't all bad, but, like, recently it's been bad, and how easy it is for these guys to just lose focus and lose their motivation, not on purpose, not like, "We stink, I'm not gonna try," but you just lose the drive when things are going really wrong and you see the writing on the wall of, "We're a losing team." You tend to,
yeah,
like, you're not as motivated to come back from injuries. You're not as motivated to kill yourself in the weight room.
or
Like, this is a
block.
really hard sport, and you're
Not
not as
motivated.
motivated to sacrifice yourself.
Yeah,
Subconsciously, you just aren't. Like, I have days, if you're at a job and you don't like it, you're not as motivated to just, like, go all out for it. You just
yeah,
lose your drive a little bit. And so, like, but it was funny because it brought that reality, confirmed what a lot of us said, like, these guys aren't playing the way they used to play. Like, Wyatt Teller used to just have a highlight reel every season of just pancake blocking guys
pancaking people.
over and over. Last year, you just didn't see it. Like, he fought some injuries. When he wasn't injured, you weren't seeing him just barrel guys over. He just wasn't going at it the way he used to. And, like, now at this point, I won't even be, like, regretful. A lot of guys were pissed that they moved on from him, but I won't even be regretful if he, like, has a resurgence in
Houston.
Texas, because it just makes it very clear, like, it wasn't gonna happen here. He had lost him. It also makes it very clear why guys like, Kevin Stefanski are gone. Like, he lost guys, and sometimes you can't get that back without a change
Yeah,
at coach and without a change of personnel, and, like, it makes it very clear why they just basically turned over every lineman on this roster who wasn't playing for this team for more than, like, a year or 2, like, or
yeah.
less.
Yeah, he
He moved on from
one thing
everybody.
he said, "Personally, I feel like there was some good ball out there, but there's also stuff that I could have done better or been better at." I feel like in all honesty, I got a little complacent. You get used to a city, you get used to your routine, everything like that. But that being said, it kind of fired me up to get into this off season and basically said, you know, we have an opportunity here to be where I was in Cleveland when we had those winning streaks. And now I'm coming into Houston and you guys are winning. So I'm more motivated because you guys are winning as opposed to be the reason why we're, to be the leader he should have been.
Yeah,
You know, he was missing a lot of blocks too. And then his
and you
wife
can't
would
help that.
post, yeah, his
And
wife
his
would,
wife, so totally
yeah,
different directions. His wife
yeah,
is like, "Boo, Cleveland, how could you do
yeah.
this to us?" And he's like, "Yeah, we kinda faded
Kind of
off
mess.
at the end
Yeah.
there." We
Did you
it's
see what
totally
his wife,
different.
tweeted out when Miles got traded? She tweeted out, "The house was burning," and that meme. I'm like, "Come on, man. Like, we're in your head. You're in Houston. Stay in
Yeah,
Houston."
yeah.
Uh, but, mini camp was today. Well, not mini camp, mandatory, is it mini camp? I always call it mini camp, but it's
It's
not that.
mandatory minicamp, yeah.
Mandatory mini camp. So what we've learned so far with the quarterback issue is, well, Shador got all the first team reps today.
Yep.
And he did pretty good. No interceptions, a touchdown, 20 for 25, I believe. Or was that Watson?
25 for 30, I think, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
like
good. That's
85%
pretty
completion
good.
percentage.
I had this thought. Um, I said it yesterday on my, I did a live yesterday, that it seemed like once the Miles Garrett trade happened, I think there was a shift happening organizationally where I think they want to go all in to see what Shador has. I think they thought maybe Miles can stay around, and if he does, we want Deshaun. But I think once Miles left, I really, because I was all in on Watson. I'm like, Watson's going to start. Watson's going to start. Now I'm getting a vibe. Maybe it's the tabloids or the internet or the local reporters making me feel this way.
Yeah.
That they're going in on all in on Shador to see what he has, and they're going to try to see if he improves at all, if he can separate himself from Watson to make him
Yeah, and
starter.
that's and so yeah, and I would buy that they're giving him every in rephrasing just in a way that I believe they're giving him every opportunity to win this job. And I have
Yeah,
the whole time when people were saying like Watson is ahead, I kept prefacing that with like things can change, but right now
yeah,
Watson is ahead and like what does Shador have to do to catch up? And basically like they're giving him every opportunity. Now what's tough is it was reported by multiple people last week that they talked to people in the building and, the practice they saw the 1 week, Watson was a starter. The
yeah,
next week, Shador was the starter, but they said people in the building both said, but bookending him, Watson was got all the reps the day before and after. So like, don't read too much into that yet. It really is. They are really kind of like rotating. And so like that tells me that there's a lot of competition still going on. Um, but to me, I was more sold on like, I don't want to hand it to Shador based on him just being younger, which is what
yeah.
most people want, and to like quote see what he's got. I'm not surprised if they want to see what he's got, but they have to have a belief that what he's got is going to be franchise quarterback, right? Which varies. If they think like this kid's really it, then I could see that. But I don't think they're just going to give him the shot because he's got a longer deal and Watson doesn't. Because the flip side of that is if you're going to win 8 games or end up mediocre and you had Watson as the starter, next year you can go in and your changes to Shador. If you did it this year and Shador's a starter, Watson's out. Most of us think he's out no matter what, but he's definitely out. And
Yeah.
then you're in this pickle of like, shoot. So I could see both sides of it, which means I really think they should zone in and make the decision. I hope it's soon, even
I
though
hope it's
coach
soon too. Yeah.
today said
I don't know.
he doesn't know that it will be after minicamp, like everybody's kind of like expecting,
Yeah,
which
might.
might just mean they're close. I mean, he said it before, but um,
So if you after hearing that, you would think that's good for Shador, right?
yes,
If they're undecided, Shador did
it's
enough to
better for
make them
Shador,
undecided
right?
because
Because if
technically,
Watson was in the lead
yeah,
early, then I doubt there's anything that Watson has done to like drop off. I would have thought it would have taken an injury or Shador getting better. I don't think it's going to take Watson having a bad day.
I did read an article though that said some of these throws need to be taken in. They're taken out of context. There's a lot of the
They are
touchdowns that either quarter. I'm not going to say any quarterback, but either quarterback can throw. There, even Todd Monken even said he said there's a couple throws that happened that were touchdowns that were actually played. They were called dead, but we
they're
let the
dead,
play
right?
continue.
So
But it
I
would
can
have
say
been a
that for
sack and
Sanders
a
because
goal.
I saw the reel that they did on him, and there was like 2 where I watched, like, one of them was Carson Schlesinger was the one that was really caught
Yeah.
everyone's attention. Carson Schlesinger swung in, hit Shador's hips, and the throw came off like 2 full seconds later, like, he shuffled, 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 shuffled through, and it was like, well, that decision was just too long, and that is but they're still gonna mark that. ESPN Cleveland is gonna put it on their little stupid quarterback tracker that says he threw a touchdown, but the
Love that
reality
quarterback
was
track.
he needed to make a quicker read to somebody else and throw it, and I am sure the same thing happened with Deshaun, I just didn't happen to catch that clip, but I would believe them that they're like, when they review this, they're not gonna see that as a touchdown pass, they're gonna say, "Was there
Yes,
somebody else you coulda got the ball to, or did you not catch that blitz coming and you should have adjusted the" so on both of them, I think that's why the tracker is so flawed. The other thing I saw on one big Shador throw. There's just more clips of Shador because he was playing with the ones today. So
Yeah.
again, I saw that terrible clip of Watson making that like jumping throw in the end
Oh,
zone that I picked last week.
yeah.
Same thing. So this is not hate on Shador. They're both making a couple
That
boneheaded
was a horrible
plays.
throw.
It was a dumb throw to make. And like, what were you
Especially a
doing? Like,
veteran, a
don't
veteran,
throw it at all. Just
you
what are you
just throw
doing?
it out. Yeah.
But
J
one of Shador's I saw was just this jump ball that I forget who it was that came down with it, and I could see the coaches looking at that later and being like, "You should have never thrown that. That could have been
was
a
it?
pick."
I know who you're talking about. It was on the sideline, right? I know who it is. I wanna
No,
s
that's not the one I was
No,
thinking of. That
that's
was the
not
one
the
to
one.
Concepcion. This one
Yeah,
was just
yeah,
like a huge bomb he threw right to the middle of the field, but the
yeah.
receiver had to like stop and backtrack it, and him and the safety jumped together for it, and the receiver came down with it. But in a real game, you'd be like, you don't want to throw that throw. You just
Yeah.
don't. The Concepcion one, I think, was ballsy. That was a little different. It really was a jump ball, but I think that was like I'm going to launch this in there and trust the receiver to come down with it. This other one was like, I'm just going to heave it
Mm,
and like that's Travis Hunter out there who's absolutely dominant over the defender, and like, I don't know that you wanna do
yeah.
that in a game because the safety actually has a pretty good advantage timing that one up in a Hail Mary, basically.
Yeah, James
But,
Frakes, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but the numbers were good, like, still completing 85% of your passes and throwing 2 touchdowns and interceptions is still a giant jump from last year
Yeah,
when he couldn't
100%
control
agree.
the ball.
James Frank says, "I believe he, meaning Munkin, knows he's just waiting to see how Shador performs a little more under pressure." KP says, "Smoke screen. I think Sanders is quarterback one, and Munkin is pushing both for motivation."
Could
Um,
be.
yeah,
Don't
could
push them
be.
too long. If that's the
Don't push,
case,
yeah,
don't push them too
don't push
long. Your
him too
team
long.
needs to know who their quarterback are. They
Yes.
don't play
So
the
you
same
get,
game.
yeah, you need that line to gel. You need the
Brand new
cadence.
line,
You
brand
need
new
you need
receivers.
the receivers to know the timing. We need to get that situation. We learned last year as fans, like having five quarterbacks throw to receivers
Several
is going to screw
years.
you up. Yeah.
We've had so many years with quarterback competitions, and they finally decide at the third preseason game, and you're like, good. Now these guys have 1 week to know who their leader is before they start games. Like, you cannot keep doing that. And if they're close, then just man up and figure it out because you don't want to get yourself caught as a new coach in this position where you can't lead the team and have your offensive leader ready to go.
Yeah.
So you're not going to jump the gun if it's close, but you're hoping for sooner than later.
Yep. Jared Verse arrived at camp. I mean, as soon as he came in, he suited up for OTAs, and he's a camp. He looks very explosive per everybody. I mean, I even see it on Instagram. I'm like, man, this guy looks really, really good. Um, yeah, KP. Jared Verse, man. I didn't get my tongue out real quick. I thought that was I like the kid, young. People have told me multiple times, well, he's not going to get 24, 23 sacks. I'm like, well, no one did
He's not.
until Miles
Yeah.
got it.
To
So
be honest, he has a sack problem, but for like a show like ours, who's kind of like, yeah, sacks are super important. We need
pressure is
them.
good.
I think he can get better at them, and he's already good at the other stuff. He's
Yeah.
good against the run. He's good at getting pressure. So now you're just looking at a guy where it's like, improve your arsenal because certain tackles
Okay.
he's going to struggle against because they can handle his power. So he has to improve his arsenal, and he has to learn how to use his hands and lean his body to like just close the deal a little more often because he's there a lot. And I
Yeah.
said this on Twitter earlier this week. He projects right now, his floor projects as Jadeveon Clowney, which is great, except for he's only in 2 years into his career. And I feel pretty good being like, that's his floor, is how that feels. And that's really great because we're familiar with that guy. But if he can just get
Step it up and a
if
couple of
he can
notches.
just step up in those sacks and, like, I know sounds like a lot, but if he can double his sack numbers, this trade is gonna look incredible. Like,
Yeah.
if he can be a consistent double-digit sack guy, he doesn't have to have 23, that's absurd, and that took Miles 10 years to get, by 9 years to get, by the way. But if he can, Miles started as a better sacker, but, like, getting 12 sacks a season, not getting 20. And
Yeah.
so if this kid can make himself a 10 plus sack player while he's a
10
Brown,
is good. I agree.
then this and keep up everything else he does, then this is a great trade, and it will turn out
Because if
well.
I think what the
If he
Browns want to
keeps
do
doing
is
5 to 7,
we might have to
it's gonna be
talk about
tough.
some. I think
Yeah.
the Browns want to diversify their rushing anyways. I think Miles, a lot of the rush or pressure had to go through Miles. I think they want to diversify, meaning disguise their front a lot more, where
Mhm.
they're not saying, "Well, Miles is going to get the quarterback." And Javale Clowney kind of complained about that. He's like, they're just trying to patent stats from Miles Garrett's Hall of Fame career. And a lot of Browns fans took that personally. Like, what are you? I'm like, well, he's kind of telling you what the Browns are doing. Like the organization, Jim Schwartz. That's why you like Jim Schwartz so much. Jim Schwartz set him up to succeed. And he did a really good job at doing it. And Miles is talented enough to take advantage of those triple teams and
Yep.
double teams sometimes. But I think what they want to do, and I actually said this maybe a couple of weeks ago on my podcast, where they want to go away from relying. This is when Miles was there, away from relying on Miles to get to the quarterback. And I think the weakness of this defense was if Miles didn't get pressure, no one got it. And I think hopefully Rutenberg comes in and kind of diversifies that front, where not just versus getting pressure, but we need to talk about Wright. He's a good run stopper. He needs to stay healthy, and he needs to pressure the quarterback along with Mike Hall Jr., who, by the way, he's a second round pick. He's going to his third year, and he has not been healthy once or make an impact yet. And then, of course, Mason Graham, he needs to get some sacks too. So hopefully all four of
Yeah.
them contribute. If you get 10, 10, 10, that's 40 sacks.
Yeah, if they can find a way, the wrap up of that point is 100% correct. If they can find a way to make up 75% of those sacks as a team and a unit, yeah, they did their job. And you've got a guy that is a absolute stud in Carson Schlesinger, who maybe now you can start blitzing more with your linebackers. And they've got Williams not going to just hold back and play.
He's gonna go to quarterback.
They're going to unleash him. Yeah,
He's gonna bring him up.
That's something he does well. And so they've got multiple linebackers that can go over after the quarterback. Alex Wright has been an improving rusher every year. And then again, we expect Mason Graham to start getting in there. I don't know when Malik Collins will be back, but if he can get himself back on the field, he also is devastating in the middle.
Not being talked about enough, the impact Malik Collins made last year to help Myles Garrett. 19 sacks when Malik Collins was on the field, 4 when Malik Collins got hurt. That is drastically huge as far as getting to the quarterback. Malik Collins, if he can get healthy, that's going to help the defensive line for sure. I was talking to some fan in Epcot about that, about Malik Collins. I said, Malik Collins really helped. No one talks about that. He got 6.5 sacks. He really helped pressure the quarterback toward Miles' way because he was getting in there. That's why Miles was getting set up for those sacks. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, go back and watch the tape, man. Go back.
Yeah, it was a big difference without him.
Yeah.
The whole defensive line was different without him. And we don't have Shelby Harris anymore either. He wasn't a sack generator, but he was really good at like controlling the line. It's going to be different, but there's a reason that the Browns were hyped about Mike Hall, Graham. They wanted guys who could get pressure up the middle because they knew the long term of this team was not just Miles doing everything. They've been trying to set up a line that was more diverse and could rush from other places for 2 years now.
Yeah. James Frank, good point. Don't forget about Isaiah McGuire. Yeah, I'm Isaiah McGuire too. He's a good.
I only didn't bring him up because he is a much better run blocker and a much better guy at like controlling the line of scrimmage. And I was just kind of, my head was on just like who can get those sack numbers. Yeah, who's going to get the sack numbers? He is a little more of a power rusher, pressure, run stop guy like Burst, but just not near that level. We talked about this on the show when you couldn't be here last week. This fan base has come around a lot compared to like the first day one reactions. I think the footage, some of the film breakdowns, some of the reporters actually coming on and talking about him, they finally realized that Jared Verse is in 2 years already like a top 10 pass rusher because I think I would compare him to Abdul Carter, who like 2 people from this show wanted with the second pick in our draft last year. And his rookie numbers were better than Abdul Carter's rookie numbers, which means you could justify saying he's a top 5 pick level player. That if it would have been like we traded Miles for Abdul Carter and people would have been like, hell yes. But because they didn't know Jared Verse, we didn't have a first round pick to use on Jared Verse. We were never watching Rams football. I just don't think people realized how damn good Jared Verse actually was on one of the best 3 defenses in the league. We said, and I'll still say, I think he's probably a top 2 player on our defense today
Yeah, he is. And
because
I think their fans are going to be shocked by that because a
it's
lot of
him and
fans just
Schlesinger. I think him and Schlesinger are ahead of Denzel Ward at this point, ahead of Grant Delpit at this point. I think those are the 2 best defensive players, and they're a second and a third year guy that both have had defensive rookie of the year. Like, that's pretty exciting as far as like resetting your foundation. And I don't think it makes them better. I think in the immediate um, future, people like Mary Kay Cabot were spinning like this could be addition by subtraction. You got rid of Myles Garrett, and now you have a new piece that could actually make the defense better. I don't agree. That's like losing the one of the best. That's like losing like the best scorer in the NBA and being like, but now we have a better 5. And it's like, yes, that can win you more at some point, but you had 4 of those better 5 before. Like, we didn't in the long term. If that first round pick comes around to be somebody good, the second round pick comes around to be somebody good, etc., then it could be better in the long run. But as of this year and this defense next year, I don't think it makes them better. It's going to be a big job for that defensive coordinator to like maximize the scheme and these guys and make up for as much as you can so that you can just keep yourself in the top tier defenses.
I agree. Mike from the Man Cave podcast, my dude, Mike, what's up? He said, good trade for the Browns. Didn't know if I could ever say that about trading Miles, but I love it as soon as it happened versus a beast. And that's the vibe. That's what I got. When I saw a verse, I just instantly, I was in my bed healing from walking all over Disney for a couple of days. And I'm like, wow, okay. I was one of those fans, right? I was like, I know he won Rookie of the Year, and I know he's a 2-time Pro Bowl, but like, what does that say? And as he got deeper, if you look deeper, you're like, kind of like what you said, his pass rush win rate, it's like crazy. He just needs to learn how to tackle. That's his
He's got to
only
close.
issue.
And some guys do get that. Like I said, Miles is at a different level when it comes to closing, and he's just a better overall player, and he probably always will be. But some guys develop that next level, and some guys don't. Jadeveon Clowney, to me, never got to his prime or his expectation because he couldn't figure out that last part. Like, how do I go from getting a ton of pressure and causing a ton of chaos to actually getting the quarterback hits and sacks? It's got to be both. You got to get sacks, and you got to have your quarterback hits to like disrupt the quarterback's flow, make him scared of you, make him double team you. And then you make the rest of the team better. And I think he's going to be a great player, and I think he's going to be a hell of like a force out there on this defense, though. And if you have to get rid of Miles, I saw a lot of people that wanted just 2 first rounders and a second, for instance.
You got to prove.
I'm
good.
I am in the camp of I will take Jared Verse, a guy that I think is worth a top 10 pick, over a random late first rounder from the only teams trading for Miles were always going to be Super Bowl contenders. I don't want to pick 25 to 32. I want Jared Verse and then the pick and the extra guys.
James Frank says, I like the Man Cave podcast. I stumbled upon them the other day. Yeah, Mike and his podcast crew is amazing. Give them a follow, the Man Cave, on all socials. They're really cool guys over there. On to the next topic. Quarterback talk again. Brendan Sorsby. No longer on the table for the Browns. I know a lot of Browns fans wanted to hit him up in the supplemental draft. You're like, what if we can get him? Not going to happen as of now. Things might not change. It could change. But the NCAA loses its battle in the courts, and the court says he gets to play. So what if he spent $90,000 gambling? Who cares? We're just going to ignore the fact that he's
rushing. This is the most crushing single thing I can attribute to the NCAA since they had to start paying since the players. Like, it's the only other thing that like I can think of any time recently that's that impactful to the league is that a player just got away with. And it's not like he got caught gambling on basketball or he did Finals 4 bets. He was gambling not only on football, but on his own team. From what I heard, at least it was from his own team to like succeed. I guess that's something. But I'm just not sure how you recover. They're gonna have to make this giant pivot from the fact that a judge ruled basically like you don't have the power to make him ineligible anymore, and now they're just stuck with that. And it's just so crazy to me. It's I was in the camp of like, yeah, he's obviously never playing again. So I've been talking about him a ton because I'm like, he's going in the supplemental draft. I guess this could get reversed anytime in the next about 10 days.
Yeah.
And that would give him one last chance to join um, the supplemental draft. But if he can play for $6 million, knowing that teams weren't going to give a first or second round pick for him because he's too risky, he's going to play.
Yeah.
What makes it really interesting to me is, before all this stuff came down, those like very early day after the drafts, like
Mhm.
Sunday, Monday, he was put in a ton of mock drafts.
Yep.
Everybody's really publicized that Todd McShay is like, he's a first round grade. And even if he's in the supplemental draft, you should give a first rounder for him. I looked up those old drafts. PFF had him going 8th overall to the Steelers, USA Today, Yahoo Sports, Bleacher Report, and the College Football Breakdown all had him as a top 4 quarterback in this kind of superstar quarterback draft. And they all had him mocked 13th or earlier, or on their big board 13th or
Top
earlier.
15. Yeah.
So what makes this interesting is we won't stop talking about him or watching him in some degree, because unless we have a like miracle turnaround at the quarterback position, he now adds to that very jammed quarterback
Yep.
class. The only difference is now you're going to have to pay full price. And I don't think gambling will be an issue at that point, because if he makes it through this college season with not a hiccup, I think the
People
gambling
with
thing will kind of
talent.
fade.
Yeah,
Right.
that
People will be like,
talent would be
okay,
like, well, I know you had a gambling issue last year, but he did throw for
yep.
4,000 yards and ran for 25 touchdowns and threw for another
I mean,
25.
Todd
We're willing
McShay
to
is
forgive it.
comparing his arm talent to Patrick Mahomes.
He is. I watched some tape on him. He is everything. He's good. Now, when you go and they're going to compare him to Shador because they played in the Big 12 together, but his tangibles, like what he can do, he
Right.
can run, he can pass, he can throw. Now, it's going to benefit him to go back to college because I think he needs another year
Right. It's just
because
not
I
going to
think he's
benefit
too raw.
us,
It won't
because
benefit us
now
if he comes out. If he comes
if
out
you could drop
early,
a third rounder in the supplemental, I'd be like, that's where the darts throw. I like
yeah,
third rounders. That's valuable. But on a potential franchise quarterback who's only there because of, and then you can redshirt him and have him just basically start next year anyway, and you don't have to really try to get him in this year. That was valuable to me. Now, when I think of him as a first rounder, I'm like, well, now he's going to have to be perfect.
yeah,
He's going to have to have a successful year. He's going to have to stay out of trouble. Like, now the clock is ticking to like, do you spend a franchise pick on the franchise quarterback? And now you give the Browns guys in the building right now, between Watson and Shador, a whole year to convince you not to even look at quarterback. So everything has changed with this ruling for me.
yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. I think if he goes back, I mean, it benefits him solely on him. I think he should. I could see why he wants to go back. Um, the
Thing is $6
supplemental
million
draft.
dollars
Yeah, it's a lot of money that he can
and that draft
gamble with.
status.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think to be honest with you, if he comes out clean, he should and we're there, I would be tempted to really
Depends.
pull he's got every tool he has, it's top bunking written all
Yeah.
over it. He's mobile, he's got a good arm. There's some things obviously he needs to work on, but all got quarterbacks in college need to work on stuff.
But he joins Carr and Manning and
A guy from
there's
Oregon.
Sellers and Dante Moore in this class of like 5 different guys who people think pretty definitively are gonna end up being first round prospects, which we haven't seen for a couple years. It's been a lot of like a first rounder and then a borderline first to second who might slide up. That's been the last 2 years when the Browns actually had the picks. My worry, and why I don't spend too much time talking about quarterbacks in next year's draft, now that the supplemental is out of the picture, is I still have this feeling that despite me not thinking we have a franchise quarterback, and I think based on the schedule, the total team talent, and the jump I expect at quarterback, no matter which guy plays from last year. I mean, last year we won 5 games. It's hard for me to not believe it's possible to win 7 this year. or 8 this year and take yourself out of the quarterback competition, which was another reason why I think Andrew Berry was like a future first. I think that could be a helpful thing
And
because what
how
if we're too good to pick in the top 5 this time
I
finally?
don't know if that I don't think that would be in my we'll probably have a show about predictions. I don't think we're gonna be too
Mhm.
good. I think we'll be
No.
right in the sweet spot. Speaking of
Yeah, my
Shador and
worry would be
quarterbacks,
7.
I would
It's not a
yeah,
stupid
my
thing to worry about. I'm worried that we'll win more games. I'm worried that we'll win just enough to go, quarterback wasn't good enough, but just too much to go, okay, we can get a top 3 quarterback. So,
yeah, I mean, let's talk about what is your hope for Shador, right? Greg Rosendahl came out and said that I think what you're hoping for with Shador is to get sort of the middle tier, a replacement level, starter level. And I think that's what he can be. And I know
mhm,
we're gonna see how he is this year under Ty Monk, and maybe he'll be a little better than I anticipate. But I've always said if he can just be a game manager, with the defense that we have, the tools that they seem to be operating around him with, I think he can be successful on this team. Now, with
mhm.
that being said, I still think they're gonna get 6 wins, but, um, I think the thing for me is I think the Browns will probably win 5 to 6 games, but I think those wins are going to look better and the losing isn't going to look as ugly.
So let me ask you, what do you need to see from him to decide if you win? Does it have to be wins, statistics, or just overall development? What do you need to see from him if we are let's say a 6-win team? Because I think a 6-win team still picks in the top 10,
Yeah,
and one of those quarterbacks will be there. And if they're not, you trade that second first to make sure you're in a spot to get one. So let's just do the hypothetical of I think the spread right now after the Miles trade is like 6
5,
wins, 5
5,
is it
6,
5? So
5,
5
6.
5 let's say 5.5. So let's say the spread's 5.5, let's say you win 6. What would you have needed to see from the quarterback position to make you go, "No, he's gonna be the guy, let's get him all of the
The
help we can
whole
get him."
the whole reign of the organization. I need to see him get the ball out quicker. I need his decisions to be better. Um, and I know he can make throws. I've seen it. I know that he can run the ball. I think his legs are underrated. Not talked about enough. I need to see him get
Yeah,
rid
he's
of the
got
ball.
escapability. He's not
Yeah.
a great runner.
No,
He's
yeah,
not a pure
escapability. That's a
runner.
better term. Better term.
He's got excellent escapability.
Yeah.
Even as a rookie, he showed he can weasel
And a
out of
lot of
traffic. He's
tackles. Yeah.
slippery. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's
can
slippery.
weasel a lot of tackles, and he can, as long as he keeps away from that drifting backwards, and it's more like,
That's
"That's a
one
bad
thing.
habit, and I hate that."
Yeah.
This is more like somebody's rushing and the pocket starts to collapse. He's good at, like, taking a jump back and going lateral or, like, stepping around and spinning and just getting free. He has shown that already to me.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, get the ball quicker decisions, and
okay.
be okay with the setup throw. Like the underneath throw, if someone's open, you don't need a home run right now. Take what the defense is giving you. I felt like he could have done that a lot last year, and he probably for competition's sake, he felt pressure to perform that he threw the ball downfield, and a
Mm,
couple of them were picked off or bad decisions. But um, and I'll hit other receivers other than Hero Fanning. Like, spread the ball open. You can have
yeah.
some more weapons on
Which
there.
there's more weapons now. Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot more potential now,
So,
I think.
yeah, for me, the biggest thing is at 3.38 seconds, you can have a better offensive line. I need to see that ball out 2-7. Too quicker. That
Okay.
means you're reading the defense, you're processing quick, and you know where to go with the ball. And that would be like, okay, yeah, sure, he threw this many interceptions, but he improved this. So now next year, let's get the interceptions under control. Um,
I got bad news for KP Young. You better win 2 games or 3 games if you're planning on taking Smith, Jeremiah Smith. People keep talking about, like, the Browns should grab Jeremiah Smith. You Jeremiah Smith is gonna be hard to get his
do
hands on,
you
guys.
think
He could be
that?
the 2nd pick in this draft if a team with a quarterback is
Oh,
bad.
okay, that's
I
the
mean, I would
argument.
love him.
Yeah,
I would love him, but people are keep talking like the Browns win 6 games, grab Jeremiah Smith, and I'm like, You're not the 2nd pick in the draft or the first. He's gonna be the first non-quarterback
oh
to
for
come off the
sure.
board. If Carnell Tate went 4th, there is 0 people on the planet Earth who think Carnell Tate is better than Jeremiah Smith, which means Jeremiah Smith is going to be the first quarterback, non-cornerback, non-quarterback taken. It's so hard for me to believe there's going to be somebody that steps out of college football with that much belief.
Talent. Yeah,
And like
I
I
agree.
said,
The only thing that would help is if a team wants a quarterback and a team does something stupid and trades with that team that needs a quarterback, so you miss out on Jeremiah Smith. That helps. Basically push him down to you. But yeah, I hope to see growth. I want to see the quickest way for the Browns to win is to have Shador be the quarterback. And that's what I'm rooting
100%.
for. That's my sole purpose. If he's starting,
I
I'm
guess
gonna
I'm
root
just
for the
rooting
kid.
for it the same thing, but differently because, like, I feel like that's almost putting the result in front of the process. Is like the best way they can be good is if Shador is good, so start Shador. I'm saying the best way they can be good is if Shador is good, and that will earn him the start.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Right? So it's like
100%.
the same thing, but it's like I think a lot of people are like, just throw him out there automatically just to see what he's got. But I don't want to see what he's got season. I want him to blow Watson out in the next couple of weeks, the next 2 weeks. So they're like, oh, we got to play this good guy. He's already in his second year, better than Watson. And that's when I would feel good about it, is when he
Yeah.
legitimately is just making it impossible not to start him.
Yeah. One question before we end the show. When do you expect the Browns to be good? When do you expect the Browns to be good? For me, I would say next year. I think next year
Okay.
they will be good. I think I just think for me, like a lot like KP Young says 9 wins. So I have a couple people always tell me 10 to 11 wins. I just can't see it. Maybe it's because I've been burnt by them before, especially on this
They're
podcast.
thinking that now. Oh, because
Yeah.
you really, really, really like Shador Sanders if you're picking a winning season. Like
Yeah.
you've already I would look at everybody who says the Browns are gonna win like 10 games
Yeah.
and look at how much they've talked about Shador Sanders being a star.
There's definitely
Because
probably a correlation there. But for me, I think they're going. It's not just the quarterback. I think the offensive line. I think we
yeah,
just
there's
gonna say
so
the
much to
offensive line is
do.
just gonna. It's fixed. Like they need gel. They need to know cadences. They need to know each other. They never played together before. And guys, we have 90% of our team is going to be either second year players or rookies on offense.
Yep.
Does that alarm everybody?
It's
Does that
literally
alarm anyone?
two veteran I got it. There's 2 veteran core pieces on our defense, and there's like 0 veteran core pieces on our offense who have played together. That's it.
That's it. Like, that means something. Like, I get they hit the 2 drafts and they look good, they look great. They need to learn game speed, especially the rookies this year. NFL's a little different. Like, we're projecting because we had a good rookie class play well. They contributed a lot last year. Like, we're gonna assume, A, that the rookie class is gonna, again, do that this year. And then
I think
when
they're in harder positions to do it.
you're gonna win double the games than you won last year. To me, that's it. You're
It's a lot.
setting yourself up to be disappointed. And I know some fans hate when I say that. Like, I really feel 6 games is going to be a good season for the Browns. It's because they're going to look better than they did last year, winning the 5, because the 5 games you won, possibly 4 of them was because of your defense. I think the offense is going to contribute to your wins this year, and that speaks more than us getting 9, 10 wins. I mean, if we do, great. But if we don't, we have to look at it from that perspective.
Yep. Man, I wish I had that kind of faith in what's going
Yeah.
on there.
Listen, there's a couple of years.
Receivers take a minute. It's not like receivers
They take
take
a
a minute
year
to get
sometimes.
going. Yeah, they take a minute to get going. Offensive line, I've said all along, like I think it's gonna take a month or 2 for them to really like fully gel with each other and get like to know what they really are. You got just inexperience everywhere.
And
You
I
lost
know,
Miles, which is
yeah,
like which
it's
they're all
pretty.
holding up. By the way, comment this week was, and I believe it, have you seen a player of that magnitude traded, first of all, in history, barely, a player of that magnitude traded, and nobody on the team is like, making comments about it. They've just moved on. Like,
Yeah.
first of all, that's a thing, guys, is they're just like, okay,
That's
it's our
telling
defense
too.
now.
That's
Apparently, yeah,
telling.
it's very telling,
That's
I think.
very telling.
Again, I don't think that makes us better, but it's a good way to bring this young group together. Is like, okay, now this is your show. Go
I'm
perform.
with it. So that's just my take. I think Browns fans they're so
A year. So
James
you
Frank
said a
is one of them.
year,
He
you
says 10 wins. And also too, I understand they say, well, a lot of them say, well, we have the easiest schedule. I'm like, sure, on compared to last year's winning
on paper,
percentage
yeah.
for one, and the way it's set up, 6 of your 9 games out the bat are on the road. We haven't won a road game in forever. We would beat Cincinnati.
Not many, though.
Yeah,
Not
we haven't
many.
won many like that in a while. Like to sit there, you're coming up Jacksonville and then Tampa Bay, and you're coming home with like it's to me when I saw the schedule, I'm like, this doesn't look easy. But some Browns fans are more positive than me. But I don't hate on them for it. I think you're gonna come in by week 10 and you're gonna say, what? We're 2-8? And I'm gonna say, yeah. Like, what did you think you will be? 2-8. I don't think it would be. I think they'll be better than that by week 10, but we'll see. KP said Bond's playing like he wants to be elite, clicking with Watson.
Bond, I've heard looked really good in at least the
Good.
first.
Is he running routes or is he
practice.
just going straight? I need to know
No,
if
I
he's
think
running routes.
Yeah, I think he's doing a little bit more.
All right, good. That's encouraging.
He, whoever said earlier was right though. I think it was him that got that like bomb down the field where he just out jumped McNeil Warren and came down with it. That's the play I was talking about.
Yeah, you
But
just put
so
in the
that
comments.
one was just a sprint down the field play. I just think last year I didn't expect much from him. He didn't have a camp. This year I expect a jump, and that's why I think it's going to be a really interesting wide receiver situation because I expect a little more out of Concepcion than Boston. I think X's take 2 years to really get their feet under him. We
Boston's
saw it with
getting a
Nico
lot of
Collins. We saw it with
Boston's
Quentin
getting a
Johnson.
lot of people's praises right now.
And I think he will in camp, but
Yeah.
when and we'll see. I hope he just comes out of the gate and he's awesome. I hope he's, you know, he's Tet McMillan, but I've seen a lot of very good X's like Nico Collins
Yeah.
have a bad first year, have an okay second year, and
That
break
third
out
year.
a third year. That's a very common thing for X's.
That's why I'm saying, like, when Browns
there's
fans
other
say,
guys.
yeah, like you have 2 offensive weapons that you drafted this year that you're going to rely on. They're rookies.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of them say, hey, we're just going to start them. And I'm thinking, like,
They might not.
I don't think it's
Todd
going
Monken's
to be
not
that.
trying to develop. He's trying to
Yeah.
like show what he's
I
got.
think he wants to win.
And I wouldn't be shocked if somebody like Tillman, if he's healthy, actually starts over Boston to start the season, even though Boston has the higher upside, I think. And then,
Yeah, I feel you're right on that.
Concepcion, like, is he starting over Judy? I don't know. That puts him in the slot and battling snaps with Bond, who's been there longer. It's going to be very rotational, and so I just don't think it's like the old times where it's like, well, we can throw him out and he's going to get every target because he's our only option. Like now, there's actually options, which is good.
KP said Judy's getting pushed out of the locker room.
They're going to try.
They're going to try. They're going to try. We'll see what's going to happen. And any news breaks, stay tuned to our socials. We'll be there to break it to you or to sit there and mourn or be excited.
Yeah, come argue with me on X.
Yeah, come argue with me on X and come back over on Facebook. It's a little more positive over there sometimes. I'm different on my page than Bearded Browns because I realize I'm like, when I go on a Bearded Browns, I'm like, I'm speaking. I can't do that. I can't speak for myself. I got to be more neutral over here. Because it's a Bearded Browns page. I can't speak for everybody. But thanks for you guys for tuning in. Shout out to our Toys for Tots came through with a good guest. She called me up. She texted me, said, hey, you want to guess? I said, who? Is he Browns really? I don't want like a random person. I don't know.
Yeah.
And she said, William. I said, sure, we'll take him. And I'm telling you, when I got him on the phone, I'm like, I texted him like, guys, he's going to talk a little bit, but he's going to be a good guy. And I'm glad he came on. It was pretty cool. I like to get in the older players and hearing like just a different era of how undrafted free agents, stuff like that, the history, how it grown is appealing to me. But don't forget to go to Cleveland Scene Magazine. Go to Cleveland Scene. Go just type Google Best of 2026. Scroll down to the Best Sports Podcast and click our name. Voting ends on the 15th. So you vote once a day. every day, just wake up. That's the first thing you should do. Eat an apple, vote for us, and to the 15th, and hopefully we can get the best sports podcast back-to-back years. There's some good competition there. Actually, a set of friends is going up against us. So I'm secretly hoping that we pull it out against them because they're going to be bragging the whole time. Appreciate all you guys, all the comments, all the love. Also, too, because I'm so far behind, shout out to everybody on YouTube. We hit over 1,000 subscribers when I was in Disney. It was cool to see in real time. Shout out to G. Bush. That was an amazing interview you guys did, by the way. Great interview and great last week of breaking down the Miles trade. I got to listen to all that. Shout out to Gary for getting G. Bush on the show. That helped push us over 1,000 followers on YouTube. So if you don't follow us on YouTube, go on there. Follow us on X. Follow us on
Follow us on a
Instagram.
couple things, guys, and subscribing is the
Huge.
biggest. I mean, that was part of the G. Bush talk, was like, your guys got to subscribe. So if you follow us, definitely subscribe. Shoot a line to a friend and say subscribe to this podcast. It just helps us be able to maintain this platform, this show. It's a game
100%.
changer for us.
But it was humbling to see that YouTube, we've been pushing that for about years, and they finally hit the mark. Appreciate
Took
you
a
guys.
long
And
time to get started.
Yeah. Patreon too. We got a Patreon. Go to our Patreon, sign up. We got some cool stuff in the works for that. But I'll let you guys go. Until next time, like always, go Browns.
Go Browns.
More than 6 wins. We'll see.